Can shutter speed control more than exposure? Can it unleash emotions? I use it to guide feelings, energy, and movement inside the frame. Because of that, these images have found their place in top galleries and in the homes of art collectors. By the end of this video, you will know how to turn shutter speed into your most emotional tool in photography. Shutter speed controls how long your camera, sensor, or film is exposed to light. In the old days of film, there was a mechanical shutter, a curtain that opened and closed to let light hit the film. Today with the electronic shutter, there is no curtain at all. The sensor itself turns on and off electronically. Think of it like standing in a dark room and flipping the lights on and off. The sensor only sees when the light is on. The flash of time is your shutter speed. Slow shutter, more light, more blur. Fast shutter, less light, more sharp. Now that you know what shutter speed is, let's see how we can use shutter speed to create emotion. But before I can do that, let's talk about what counts as slow shutter speed and what counts as fast shutter speed. Point number 2, shutter speed and emotion. Remember something, dead doesn't move, and what doesn't move has no emotions. That's why motion is so important in photography. Because the moment you remove motion out of your photograph, you risk removing life. And that's where shutter speed comes in. Shutter speed doesn't just control how bright or dark your image is, it controls how motion is captured, how still or how alive your subject feels. And what does alive really mean? It means movement. And movement, when used with purpose, creates emotion. That's why shutter speed is not just a technical setting, it's an emotional decision. Now let's talk about how we can figure out your dead and alive shutter speed. You can call what's slow or fast, or as I call it, dead or alive shutter speed with a simple test. It's not a number that somebody hands you, it's something you discover, and it can change every time based on your subject. Just make sure you're testing with the same lens and camera combination before you go out to shoot. Alright, so how do we do this test? Go out there, take pictures of moving cars, or have a friend or a family member run at approximately the same speed of what your subject may be running when you're out there shooting in the field. Keep adjusting until they are tack sharp from edge to edge. And when I say edge to edge, I don't mean edge to edge of your frame, but edge to edge as your subject, like from your head to your toe and your hands. And that's how you measure your subject's movement or shake. And that gives you the real world dead, or you can call it sharp, shutter speed measurement. So now we have figured out how to find your subject's sharp shutter speed. Now let's see what we can do to find our subject's alive shutter speed, meaning slower shutter speed. Alright, so here's what we're going to do with the alive shutter speed. After we have found our sharp shutter speed, we're going to start to lower it by a third and then a half and then a stop. And you'll start to see blur more in the areas that are moving faster, like maybe the hand, or if the head is shaking, the head is going to start getting more blur than the rest of the body. In other words, you will see blur in the parts of the body that move the most. You should slow it down to a point where the subject still feels sharp, but your subject has movement. Here's a tip. Your shutter speed should not be too slow or too fast. If it's too slow, you'll risk blurring the sharpest part of the image. And for the most part, it's the eye. If it's too fast, you will lose the emotion that comes with motion. Now that we have figured out how to calculate our alive shutter speed, in the next point, let's see how we can place the emotion in a specific point in your frame. Point number 3, placing your emotion where it belongs. Making an image feel alive is one thing, but placing that emotion, that feeling of movement, right where you want it in the frame, that takes your photography to the next level. Here's how you do it. I shoot wide open using a very shallow aperture. That means only a thin slice of image is tack sharp. Usually the eye or the head. The rest naturally falls out of focus due to aperture. But here's where shutter speed joins the game. Any part of the subject that's already soft due to aperture becomes even more emotional when it also picks up motion blur. It's a double-layered softness, focus blur and motion blur, surrounding a sharp center. And the contrast between these two areas is what draws your viewer's attention exactly where you want it. That's the key. A viewer doesn't just see what's in focus, they feel what's moving. And this affects humans more on a subconscious level than a conscious one. Have you ever seen an image that you just can't take your eyes away from, but you just don't know why? That's because your subconscious mind is seeing something that your conscious mind just can't explain. Once you learn how to control that, where to place your motion and how much, you'll no longer just take pictures. You'll create images that stay with people. Okay guys, shutter speed isn't just about freezing time and letting in light. It's about guiding emotion, directing attention, and creating a feeling that lingers long after the image is seen. This takes time to master. I have spent years tracking animals, studying their behavior, studying light, and missing more photographs than I can count. But every mistake taught me how to create images that feel alive, not just look sharp. So go out there and practice, practice, practice. Train your eye. Play with the shutter speed until the movement in your frame feels alive, feels like something. It has to be very, very subtle, but it still has to be there. It cannot just be a blur, it has to be a story. You know, everybody speaks about shutter speed and aperture and ISO in the mechanical way. But if you want to be an artist, not just a photographer, if you want to be an artist, think outside the box. Think about doing something that makes your image alive, that gives life to your image. Don't just go and capture something dead, that means super sharp, that doesn't give life to your image. What gives life is movement. That's it. That's my belief system. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.